Hi, my name is Laura and welcome to my channel, Boundless Books. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about something a little bit different. I'm going to talk to you guys about some of my favorite music to listen to while I'm reading. Now, a few of you might be thinking, whoa, slow down. Listening to music while reading? That sounds a little insane. How can you concentrate? And when I was younger, honestly, I never listened to music when I was reading. I liked to just completely concentrate on my book. However, when I went to college and I started living in a really loud, noisy dorm, I discovered that I needed something to drown out the noise. So I started listening to classical music and then worked my way up to slow folk music and eventually got to the point where I can really listen to anything while I'm reading. And I found beyond just blocking out a noisy room or, a loud subway car, music can bring another layer of enjoyment and understanding to a book. When you find the right song and the right book, it can be really awesome and just sort of really suck you into that world even more. There are a few things that I look for when I'm trying to pick out an album to read to. First and foremost, it should be an album that is musically very similar throughout. While I really enjoy albums that are more musically challenging and take you on a journey throughout the course of an album and a range of emotions throughout all the songs, those albums are not great to listen to when you're reading. I try to pick out albums that feel musically similar throughout, more atmospheric in nature. The second thing that I look out for are albums with songs that tend to be longer. Shorter songs can be a little disruptive when reading. Right as you're starting to get comfortable with a song, it ends and then the next song starts up, and that can be a bit jarring when you're just trying to concentrate on a feeling and immerse yourself in a book. And then the last thing that I look for is that it be something I am familiar with. This might seem kind of obvious, but if I try to listen to a song for the first time while reading a book, I am very distracted. So today I've collected a number of songs and a number of books that I think pair really well together. And if there's other crazy people out there like myself who enjoy listening to music while reading, hopefully you will enjoy this list. And before I dive in, I just want to apologize for sounding incredibly hoarse. I am recovering from a cold yet again. I always feel like I'm apologizing for being sick. I don't really know why. The first album that I want to talk about is The Days Are Gone by Haim, and the book that I was reading while listening to this is the Immortal Rules, or the Blood of Eden series by Kagawa. First of all, I love Haim. When this album came out, I just could not stop listening to it. If you are a fan of really good pop rock by strong female singers, then this is probably right up your alley. And the reason I think it pairs so well with the Blood of Eden series is that the Blood of Eden series is about this really badass vampire girl who's trying to resist sort of her natural instinct to attack humans. And one of the songs is actually called Forever, which is one of the big hits from the album. And the fact that I was reading about a vampire who can live forever, but also who doesn't need to be saved or rescued, all those songs kind of meshing together just created a perfect atmosphere for me. Also, I apologize for not being able to play you guys a snippet of the song, but I'm semi-terrified of being sued for copyright infringement, so in the interest of that, I'm going to include links to all of these albums in the description box down below alongside the books that I'm mentioning. The next album that I want to talk about is Veckatimest by Grizzly, and the book that I was reading while listening to this is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Grizzly is more of an indie alternative band, and their songs tend to be fairly mellow, more about the melodies than the actual lyrics themselves. So if you find that you have trouble with songs that are very lyric heavy while reading, then this might be a good album. A lot of Grizzly music tends to be incredibly atmospheric and somewhat transportive and slightly eerie. The Handmaid's Tale is set in the future, a dystopian future where the human population has trouble reproducing as a result of nuclear fallout, and so specific women are assigned to bear children, and they are called handmaidens. The novel has a very somber tone, as you can imagine, so I thought that some of the eerie sounding music from the Grizzly album paired incredibly well with it. Moving on to another power pop female artist. I don't know if you guys are noticing a trend yet, but the next album that I want to talk about is Heartthrob by Tegan and Sara, paired with the book The Emperor's Edge by Lindsay Buroker. This album by Tegan and Sara is a few years old now, but when this guy came out, I just could not stop listening to I Was a Fool on repeat. Like, on repeat for the whole entire day. This album focuses a lot on relationships and singing about relationships in a way that's more realistic and exposing some of the flawed aspects of relationships. And so I think thematically that pairs really well with the Emperor's Edge series. The Emperor's Edge series is a very interesting genre mix. It has elements of steampunk, but also elements of sci-fi. But at its core, it's a story about a group of characters. These characters are a riff-raff bunch, but they discover that they have many things in common and that they all care about a common goal. So an album that's talking a lot about relationships and the realistic aspects of relationships paired really well with this book, in my opinion. One of the songs on the album is actually called I'm Not a Hero, and given that this book focuses on a group of people who are seen as outlaws even though they are out to protect the Empire, seemed incredibly appropriate to me. The next thing that I want to talk about is actually a song and not an album, and it is the song Oblivion by M83. And I was listening to this song like nuts while I was reading The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This song was actually created for the movie Oblivion, which is a sci-fi movie with Tom Cruise, which I didn't love. However, this song is so good. It's electronic and very atmospheric. It feels like you're in a movie when you're listening to it. The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon is actually a sci-fi book, and it is set in a dystopian future version of London where people have psychic abilities. I've talked about this book a few times in the past, and that's because I love it, love it, love it. It is so good, one of the more innovative sci-fi fantasy novels that I've read in recent years. This song really doesn't have that much in the way of lyrics, however, it just creates this beautiful electronic soundscape that pulls you in, and I found that it paired so well with these descriptions of this future version of London where it's rainy and grimy and these characters are running down the streets trying to escape the authority. It's also a very long song, and I found that when I played it on repeat, I didn't really notice where it ended and where it began again, and so it just kept me very focused on the book the whole time I was listening to it. Switching gears a bit, the next album that I'd like to talk about is the album Strange Tales by Lord Huron. And I was listening to this while reading the book Vengeance Road by Erin Bowman. If you're not familiar with Lord Huron, he is an indie folk artist who writes these really melodic songs with a sort of hint of country twang to them. And appropriately, Vengeance Road is a book set in the West and follows a young woman on a quest to avenge her father's murder. Lots of the songs on Strange Tales are these scenes of rural Western life. There's the song Louisa, which is about a young woman. There's the song Meet Me in the Woods, which talks about fantastical creatures and beasts in the woods, and both have this sort of lovely twang to them that feels so appropriate for the book Vengeance Road. A lot of Lord Huron songs are also borderline macabre, so there's songs about graveyards and other things, which, given that Vengeance Road is a little bit bloody, seems very appropriate as well. And finally, the last album that I'd like to talk about is Art Angels by Grimes, and I was listening to this while reading the book Ancillary Justice by Leckie. Grimes is a really interesting artist. She would definitely be classified as electronic. A lot of her older music is pretty ambient and the vocals are very muffled, and it's more just about this really strong electronic beat. This newer album, Art Angels, focuses a little bit more on the pop end of the electronic spectrum, but still brings Grimes' quirky flair. Ancillary Justice is a very interesting sci-fi novel. It follows a character who has no understanding of male and female genders and wakes up on a snowy planet completely stranded with no real idea how they got there. The novel focuses a lot on how a consciousness can exist in many places at the same time, which is a cool thing to explore. So I thought reading such an innovative sci-fi novel paired really well with an artist like Grimes, who takes such a strange approach to a lot of electronic music. So there you go, that's just a little selection of some of the songs that I like to listen to while I'm reading. I'm constantly looking for new music, so if you have any suggestions of songs or albums that you like to listen to while you're reading, definitely leave them in the comments section down below. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date with all of my latest content. And if you like this video, which is a little different for me, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And until next time, my name is Laura, and thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!